What's up, guys? Hope you guys have all been well and staying safe. Welcome back to another video. So Invicta is a brand that sparks a lot of controversy in the watch community. It's a brand where I find either you love them or you absolutely hate them. Now, what do I think of Invicta? Would I buy one and do I like what they have to offer mostly? No. Do I think that they have a place in the watch community? Yes. So today I have the Invicta Pro Diver model 1344. It's a chronograph. We're going to get into a quick review and then I'll give you my thoughts on Invicta as a brand. So we're going to move over to the desk and get right into it. So off the bat, this is not a small watch. This is actually quite the opposite. It's a behemoth, to say the least. It's got a 48 millimeter stainless steel case in a gold tone. It's just under 16 millimeters thick, 53 millimeters lug to lug. It's got a 30 millimeter lug width, which doesn't really matter because it's got an integrated bracelet, so you likely won't be putting it on a strap anyway. The crystal is what Invicta calls flame fusion, which is supposedly a synthetic crystal, a step above a mineral crystal, but it's not quite as durable as a full sapphire. We've got a 100 meter water resistance rating with the caliber VD53B-14. It's a basic quartz movement inside. The watch weighs about 240 grams, which while it may seem light, you'll feel that on your wrist throughout the day. For reference, a Seiko SKX weighs about 135 grams, and that's with its little dinky hollow Jubilee bracelet, but this is quite a heavy watch, so don't be mistaken just because it's a 240 gram watch, like you will feel that on your wrist throughout the day. The clasp is a fold-over clasp with a flip lock mechanism. It does have a strong positive locking action, but the edge of the clasp is quite sharp actually, and you feel it dig into your finger as you try to pull the clasp to release it. Now, I can't help but notice that the clasp feels pretty flimsy in the presence of such a thick, heavy, and bulky watch. A fold-over clasp is not really suitable, in my opinion, for a watch this size. It just seems like a very dinky way to sort of close up such a heavy bracelet of a watch. So this is not what I would call a flattering watch. In fact, it's a monstrosity. And for reference, I have 7.3 inch wrists, and I don't think it looks flattering on my wrists whatsoever. The edges are extremely sharp and they dig into you throughout the day. I wouldn't call this watch comfortable at all. So all in all, the watch is too big, too sharp, too thick, too wide, and way too heavy. And this is unfortunately common with Invicta. They love making 45 millimeter plus watches, which, to be fully honest, rarely if ever look good, even on the wrists of a chunkier fellow. In fact, I think it would make more sense if you had a larger wrist to stick to something within the 38 to 40 millimeter range. I think it just adds a more delicate, more tasteful touch to an already very thick wrist. I don't actually believe in ever going over a 42 millimeter watch. Even if it's a tool watch, I think 42 millimeter is pretty big, regardless of whether it's a diver, a pilot's watch, or whatever. There's really no need to get into the 45 millimeter plus territory, even though some luxury brands do it. I'm personally against it. It also seems pretty obvious to me that Invicta does clearly tend to cater to a younger audience. They very often use extremely vibrant, flashy colors, almost making some of their watches look like toys. And you can find examples of this in lineups inspired by SpongeBob, Star Wars, DC Comics, Disney, and the list goes on and on and on. Now, with that said, there is one big reason I think Invicta deserves a place in the watch world, and that's their ability to help people who aren't otherwise necessarily knowledgeable in automatic watches begin sort of their watch collecting journey. You'll commonly hear on web pages, forums, YouTube videos, whatever, that Invicta seems to be a very common entry point for the new watch collector. And I think it's really the Pro Diver Automatic series that does this. So this is a lineup of all sorts of homages of Rolex Submariners, Yachtmasters, Datejusts, all watches that are pretty much recognizable by everybody. They're very often found on sale for like $70 or less. You can get a $70 automatic Rolex Submariner lookalike diver as your first automatic watch and then slowly grow your collection from there. Could you do better? Yeah, I think so. But I also think you could be doing far, far worse. It's not a bad place to start. And by the way, if you are interested in sort of a starting point for your watch collecting journey, I have 2 videos on both dress and sports watches, all within a $500 and below budget. I'll leave the link in the description. You should check that out. So the final verdict, if you're looking into Invicta as sort of your entry point into collecting watches, I would say avoid their oversized quartz models. They're all basically the same. They're way too chunky, not tasteful, very gaudy, and go for something in their Pro Diver series, something automatic specifically, one of their homages, especially if you get it on sale. They usually retail for about $250 to $300 and can be cut down to about $50 to $70 depending on what time of the year you buy them. So I think doing that is really not a bad place to start in your watch collecting journey. Otherwise, avoid the chunky monsters. And I think if you do that, you'll have started your watch collecting journey on not too bad of a foot. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, whether you love Invicta, hate Invicta. I know there's a lot of arguments online on what people think of Invicta. Very, very, very controversial brand. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys have had an Invicta as your starting watch, if you guys have avoided them like the plague, I'm very curious to see what you guys think. And until next time, stay safe.